So I don't really want to discredit my initial review that I've done for Mega Man Battle Network 5, because in all honesty, first impressions do mean a lot to me in the long run. It's a great way to just get a feel for how the general game is going to be all the way through, and if it doesn't catch me right away, then what's to say that anything later on is going to do the same thing? But for me, if Fire Emblem's ever taught me anything, it's that, you know, sometimes you just gotta push through, and then finally you'll find that thing about that specific game that you're going to really appreciate, and that in of itself can be a great thing. But it was harder to make that justification for a game series that I already knew that I liked, at least to some degree, which is why with Mega Man Battle Network 5, I always found it hard to just kind of just plug through the game after a certain point, because it's just something just wasn't clicking with me right away, despite the fact that on paper it really should have been one of the best, if not the best, numbered Mega Man Battle Network game in the series. And yet I just couldn't find a way to get into it, despite the at least 3 times that I've tried to actually play through it. With that being said though, you know, I listened to your guys' feedback. I checked some of the comments. Some of them were dumb, I'll admit it, because, you know, some of you need to get a reality check. But no, I read some of your guys' stuff, and, you know, there, like I said, there had to have been something that I was missing. So I decided to just buckle down and try to power through another playthrough of Mega Man Battle Network 5. But this time around, I decided to pick up the DS copy of the game, the Double Team DS, as it is so called. Nothing inherently special about it other than the fact that it's got both games in it, but to my surprise, there was actually a bit more to it than I expected. So I finally was able to get through at least one full playthrough. I haven't tackled Colonel side too much, but I'll talk about all sides in general as I go through this. But yeah, so I know I did make a little bit of an update video saying what I was going to plan on doing, but a few of those plans have changed, but otherwise I am going to review the actual DS copy of Mega Man Battle Network 5. With that being said, the footage that you're going to see is going to vary. I'm saying it now before I actually work on the video, but you're most likely only going to see actual GBA footage of the game, because I wasn't going to play through the game again on the Wii U, so I'm just using my archived footage from the first time I played it, so there's not going to be a whole lot, but I know I am going to talk about more than I actually took footage of. So I don't know, I might take some people's footage and credit them, or I might make some elaborate drawings or something. I don't know. This view is going to get a little wonky, but I am going to try my best to review this just as if this was the very first game in the series I'm ever going to talk about. So, sorry for the long intro, but with that out of the way, let's take a look at Mega Man Battle Network 5 Double Team DS. So how about that story? There's an opinion that never really changed from the original review. It's the story. It's very run-of-the-mill. We're still considering Regal returns as the main villain, which doesn't make sense since he yeeted himself off the satellite from the last game. What really should have been, you know, that one scene from Robocop near the very end turned into basically Michael Myers from Halloween and every Halloween. So it just doesn't make any sense. I will say though, after having full context to what the end goal for Regal was, it almost felt like the precursor to that thing the anime did where cyberspace was being brought into the real world, which let Land merge with Mega Man, but I guess only by aesthetic alone, I suppose. Otherwise, not a great plot line, not the worst, but very few Battle Network games actually have unique plot lines to tell. Now, I have to ask, is it because it's on the DS that the music's so much better? Not every track is A grade, but the battle theme sounded a lot better, and I can specifically recall the final boss theme being pretty good. I'm glad, in my opinion, that at least the last 2 games in the series really slapped with their music. They also decided to add in extra voice clips for Land, Mega Man, Proto Man, and Colonel, but it's really nothing to it. It's very arbitrary. And since this will probably be the last opportunity to talk about the original art style and graphics, I really want to emphasize just how much I love the aesthetics of the Battle Network games. It's half the reason I love the series to begin with. The designs of the cyber world, and especially the navis, are so imaginative, fun, and just awesome looking. They took Magnet Man's original design and turned him into a linebacker. Napalm's design got a little bit more streamlined, but still looks great. Even all of Mega Man's Soul Unisons, Double Soul, I don't know, the names keep changing. All those look great. And now introducing one of my all-time favorite Navi designs, Medi. No, not joking. Her design is great. It's one aspect I will always appreciate with the series. Alright, let's talk gameplay. As Land, you skate, talk to people, and find places to jack Mega Man into the internet. Land's your downtime for the most part. The bulk comes with Mega Man. As you run around the internet, you'll come across random battles. Alright, so we all know how the basics of the combat work, okay? There's no point in going over it again, okay? Do I have to? Serious? Alright. Here are the basics again. Alright, as soon as the fight starts, the custom screen appears with 5 random battle chips for you to pick. Your goal is to either group up chips of the same type or of the same letter to take into battle. Grouping up certain chips with specific letter combinations will grant a program advance, combining them to become an ultra powerful attack. For example, grouping up cannon with letters A, B, and C. Some chips also come with a star that acts as a wildcard and can be grouped with others, as well as acting as the certain part of a program advance chain. After picking a chip, all of which you set yourself into a folder of a plethora of chips to find in the world, you go into battle on a 3x6 grid with Mega Man on one half usually, and you can use chips stored away whenever to unleash big damage or augment Mega Man in some capacity. Running out doesn't mean you're entirely defenseless, as Mega Man does have his Mega Buster as backup. Early on, it's absolute doo-doo, though thankfully not nearly as bad as Battle Network 2. A single point of damage per shot, or 10 after fully charging. You can augment Mega Man and his Buster by utilizing the Navi Customizer screen. You can collect programs that can boost the Buster or do things like give Mega Man the ability to ignore panel types. Just have to follow the rules of the Navi Customizer. No 2 programs of the same color can touch, solid ones must stay on the custom line, and blocked ones must be off it. Lastly, while in battle, if Mega Man can hit an enemy with a chip just before they attack, he'll enter full synchro as displayed by his emotion, freezing the enemy briefly and doubling the damage of his next chip used. He also has 3 other emotions, typically tied to you playing less than ideally though. Don't quote me on specifics, but here's how I usually wound up getting these to appear, I guess. If you get hit a lot right when you're about to use a chip, or get status ailments a lot in quick succession, Mega Man will get angry and double the strength of his next chip. If you take a lot of damage fast, miss a lot of chips, or end up getting really low on health, Mega Man will become nervous and won't be able to enter Soul Unison until you heal or otherwise start to perform better. Alternatively, exclusive to the DS version, Mega Man can become discouraged, represented by the emotion window turning pink. If you yell into the mic though, Mega Man will get hyped, doubling his next chip's potency. Other than talking about enemies, that's basically the gist of the basics. So let's get deeper. Battle Network 5 has the double souls again from Battle Network 4, though they also call it Soul Unison, but that's beside the point. As you progress through the story and interact with the new team members you recruit to the squad, Mega Man's soul communes with them, allowing them to briefly use their power in battle. By sacrificing a chip with the element that matches the soul, Mega Man will change appearance and gain a bunch of extra abilities. As I've said, I've always liked the designs of these, and in my opinion it's the preferred main gameplay mechanic compared to the Styles trilogy of Battle Network 2 and 3. I like Styles 2, just this feels more like the appropriate translation of an OG Mega Man mechanic brought to the Battle Network series, and it's something that Mega Man 11 kind of adopted as well, and is really cool there too. Changing souls only lasts for 3 turns though, so you'll have to be quick to utilize their skills. With that said, here's what you'll be dealing with. Magnet Soul changes you to electric, allows to charge elect chips, and has a charge attack that pulls an enemy for a strong one-panel attack. Gyro Souls, which unlocks Float Shoes, has a charge that fires a wind burst in 3 squares ahead, doing increased damage to further out the enemy is in, and the propeller can spin when you use a wind chip, which causes the next wind or normal chip to do more damage. Napalm turns the charge into a Vulcan burst, powers up fire-type chips, and can further strengthen them by running over lava panels. You can charge fire-type chips to lob a powerful bomb as well. Search Soul, I got it right, which has a charge that locks onto enemies no matter where they are, and allows Megaman to shuffle the chips in the custom screen. Medi Soul, which lobs an explosive that blows up the square above and below it, and unlocks special augment chips that Megaman can merge with regular chips to do things like heal him when used, blind, paralyze, etc. the enemy. And Proto Soul, which has a wide sword for a charge attack, can reflect enemy attacks, and can charge sword chips to do a powerful 2-step slice. For Colonel's team, you get Night Soul, which has a charge that hits and confuses the squares all around Megaman, great when surrounded in liberation missions, and can charge break chips for more damage. He can also become temporarily invincible when using chips in the front line. Shadow, which charges a longsword, has Float Shoes, and can charge sword chips to teleport behind enemies to attack them. Tomahawk, which does a strong life sword size swipe for his charge, changes the area to grass, can heal on grass, or consume a panel to power up grass-based chips. He's also immune to status effects. Number Soul, which adds chips to the custom screen, adds extra damage to normal chips, and has a very slow dice bomb that changes the damage each throw and is easily the worst soul. Toad Soul, which lets you ignore ice panels and can sink into water panels to dodge all attacks except elect and panel affecting attacks. He can also charge water-based chips and has a charge that homes in on enemies and stuns slightly. Colonel converts objects on the enemy field into soldiers that'll attack in that row, has a really strong cross divide for his charge attack normally, but can also set normal chips to be his charge each turn. It also looks badass. I'll literally use every soul on Proto Man's team, except, ironically though, Proto Man's. I found them all to be really fun and helpful, and I'll still use Proto Man's from time to time. But except for Number Soul, I did get some enjoyment out of pretty much every soul, which is a much higher ratio than 4 and 6. On to something I failed to talk about in any capacity last review. I heard ya, so here you go. Dark chips return for Battle Network 4, however, they are an actual chip you can acquire in the overworld and set into your folder rather than being a random mechanic when you start taking more damage. It's set this time due to Battle Network 5's new feature, Chaos Unison. After about the midway point of the game, much like Soul Unison, you can sacrifice a dark chip of a specific element to become a dark form of a pre-existing double soul for one turn in battle. My big problem with normal chip usage from 4 to 5 was that if you used a dark chip, sure they were strong, but the permanent loss of health alongside the chance of semi-soft locking your game by consistently using dark chips to the point of corrupting Megaman was not the risk versus reward system that I wanted to use. It sucked ass. If there was some sort of like Paragon system in place, then maybe it would make more sense, but there's not, so it's only just a detriment to use it. Chaos Unison is a different beast though. For the one turn you have, Megaman has a special charge timer. Once it's set, it alternates between purple and turquoise? Teal? Whatever. If you release the charge on purple, Megaman unleashes that soul's designated dark chip at full capacity. Like, dude, dark meteors on command. Oh, mwah. But if you release on turquoise, sure, not only is Megaman kicked out of the Unison, but Dark Mega appears on the enemy side and will absolutely start to go to town on you, burning through a plethora of chips that you have in your folder to try and kill you. Best part, that's the only negative about it. It's a big one, sure, but that's the kind of risk versus reward I like. Battle Network games have always been about skill from the player, and this becomes an extra layer to rely on. Rather than permanently punishing the player, Chaos Unison asks you if you want big damage, and if you do, don't mess up the mechanics. It's a great feature. Now before we get into the biggest aspect to go over in terms of Mega Man Battle Network 5, I want to touch on a few things of the big features that are part of the DS version of the game. I know there's a method of sending over certain navis from one playthrough to the other to utilize in Liberation missions. Thanks to the extra screen, you can find maps on the different sections of the internet, which is awesome. But easily my favorite feature is the party battle system. Not only do you unlock the souls for your teammates, but you can also unlock their image data to allow two teammates to follow Mega Man around the web. Each Navi has a simplified version of a Navi customizer to utilize, and then once you get into fights, you can actually swap a limited number of times between each one to use them in battle. If a character is in full synchro and goes to switch to another, they'll actually do a cool team up attack. On top of that, each Navi has a special means of supporting the Navi in the lead at the time. Proto Man will use his wide sword after leaving the custom screen, Napalm Man will periodically pop in to shoot the closest enemy, Medi will heal you slightly each time you go into the custom screen. Besides Battle Network 2 giving Mega Man an actual level, this is the closest I've felt that the series actually kind of feels like a normal JRPG of sorts, gaining new allies and fixing up a team to play how you want to. It's an awesome feature as well. The slightly unfortunate part though is that you can't use it in Liberation missions since you've already got the actual ones there to use, and only dungeons you head into for the first time will also disable the feature. Understandable considering how busted it kind of is, but its greatest strength comes in making your downtime more pleasant and your grinding sessions more enjoyable. But yeah, there's some dungeons, some of the better ones in the series. I really like the one where you have to guide those ninja programs around. That's kind of funny. Dodging boulders can be a little wonky, but that's also kind of fun as well. And arguably, I think that Battle Network 5 does have one of the better final dungeons in the series. It is pretty linear, but having to swap between all your different teammates to accomplish the same goal is pretty neat. So yeah, I do think it does have some pretty interesting dungeons, and as well as a lot of great bosses to fight as well. Okay. Now I think we could talk about it. Arguably, Mega Man Battle Network 5's biggest feature is the Liberation missions. As you progress through the story, you'll gain a team of Navis to aid you in liberating sections of the net from the Dark Void guarding the area. You do that by clearing dark panels. As you select a panel from a Navi, you're brought to a custom screen to pick chips as per usual. The quirk though is that as soon as the custom gauge is filled, you're forced back into the custom screen rather than just letting you do it yourself. In order to liberate a panel, you have 3 turns to destroy all the enemies, clearing the space. If you're really quick and delete them on the first turn, you do what's called a 1-turn liberation, clearing all the squares around you. But it's never that simple though. If you attack a dark panel with another one flanking you, you'll start to fight at a disadvantage, whether it be you have one less row to use or you start smack in the middle with enemies on both sides. It can get a little chaotic, but it's not too bad. In order to actually fight the Dark Lord though, you have to destroy all the dark spawn points for these boss viruses. They move around each turn and can attack outside of battle and act as mini boss encounters on their own panel. But you can attack their spawn to fight them as well with some regular viruses. Destroying those will clear out all the panels around that, and like I said, clearing all of them will unlock the space around the boss to fight them. As you progress through the story, the things you need to do to complete the missions will grow. Find keys to unlock barriers, avoid trap panels that can damage or paralyze Navis, deal with large amounts of dark panels. You can help with this by using order points. You get to control multiple Navis as you play through, each with their own unique quirks in battle. Each Navi also has a special action tied to them to aid you when on the overworld field. Mega Man can use a longsword to clear 2 squares in front, Gyro Man can auto-liberate a square that he can fly over, etc. You don't start out with much points to use, but you can come across special dark panels that might have a reward of order points or other potential stuff. Or you can find prize panels that randomize what reward it gives you. Knowledge of the set locations of order points can really help in speeding up the process of liberation missions. Exclusive to the DS version, you can also team up with Navis on the same square, using up both Navi's turn but having both fight at the same time. Why do you want to be speedy? Well, there is a special prize, technically 2, by clearing liberation missions in a certain number of turns. Now, I said I wasn't going to go for these when I replayed this, but the guide I was using got me some of these really easy, using them more as a template as things got more difficult. And by doing so, it led me to view Liberation missions from a certain different point of view. See, when I look at Liberation missions, running around trying to overtake spaces with characters that excel at certain aspects of the battlefield with a final big boss that can usually require teamwork of sorts to finish off, kind of makes me think of Fire Emblem or Final Fantasy Tactics. And those games, barring the odd exception, are all about meticulous, careful gameplay, making sure you have the right character for the job. And honestly, in Battle Network 5, it's fine, if a little tedious on occasion. The biggest part is the general lack of order points you could potentially get. Without points, you have to really rely on one-turn liberations to get anywheres at any decent rate. Playing with just a general template though, you kind of just have to shoot caution to the wind and just blast through for the best experience. It does still get a little repetitious, but for both the best experience with what you have to work with, as well as the best chance to meet the turn requirements for the rewards, going fast is the way to go. But it does still kind of bum me out though. All the elements of a tactical game mode is there, and if you don't really care about the special prizes, then it sort of doesn't matter. And if you enjoy Liberation missions, then that's great. I'm happy that you're able to fully enjoy it. But to me, based off of the turn limit, it kind of makes it a little bit less fun for me compared to some of the other stuff. But, you know, after all this time, been playing through it, it's kind of made me think about something. And hear me out. I know it's way after the fact, so it's not like my input's going to matter much, but instead of having a turn limit for the prize, what if Liberation missions were point-based? Like, you get X amount of points per liberation, extra for 1 turns. You can still have the turn limit there as a sort of multiplier or just general bonus if you could finish before X amount of turns. But at least if it was done that way, there could be a way for more tactical gameplay to still reward the player with the bigger prizes, and would sort of encourage the player to like try and clear the space of more dark panels as like a means to help clean up the area better instead of having all the general programs do it. But alas, it's very much too late for my input for that to matter. So that's basically it. So I guess I will kind of take back what I said for the initial review, kind of. You know, outside of Liberation missions, Battle Network 5 doesn't really do anything wholly unique with its story, and the general gameplay loop is pretty much the same, barring a few extra additions. And with Liberation missions, it's an interesting idea, but it's bogged down by the expectation of the player in order to succeed at the highest degree. But with the Double Team DS, if you can get a hold of this version, if you really want to play Battle Network 5, this is the way to go. Because with an interesting battle system with the party battle system, as well as extra tools to use in Liberation missions, and just general access to having both games in one cartridge, this is definitely the preferred way to play the game, and it's definitely warmed up to me so much more. I do still think in the long run that I kind of prefer 3 and 6 more. Definitely 6 more. 3 and 5 are kind of balanced there. We'll just say that. But you know, compared to the original review, I would say being balanced with 3 is much better than being very near the bottom. So I guess that in itself is a great thing. And yeah, again, that's basically it. So I don't know. Battle Network seems to be my best performing type of videos that I get on my channel. So I initially was going to make this my last one, but you know, gotta sometimes follow the algorithm or something. So I'm going to try to find some sort of way to keep talking about the series to some degree. I think at the very least, I am going to try and download some of the online Japanese only stuff that people have been mentioning to me. So, you know, Operate Shooting Star will be my excuse to actually take a look at Battle Network 1. I'm gonna try and take a look at that. There's 4.5, I think it was. I'm gonna take a look at, you know, some of this other stuff. I'll download some ROMs. I'm not a big fan of doing that, but if it's the only way to get access to playing these types of games, then I guess there's no true harm in doing it, I suppose. So yeah, I don't know. I'll take a look at some of those types of stuff. And alongside that, you know, I had a few ideas for some sort of like challenge-based Battle Network 5 videos, or just Battle Network in general. I mentioned it there a while back that, you know, if you're really good at Battle Network, you could theoretically not take any damage when playing through the game. So, you know, why not test that theory in an actual, you know, can you beat a game without taking damage type of aspect. I've seen a lot of those popping up, and they're an interesting idea for some of them. I think Battle Network could work with that. So, you know, let me know what you think about that. And while you're down there, let me know if you guys would prefer if I streamed those types of attempts. Either way, I'll still make like sort of a collage, montage type of video for it. But, you know, would you like to see them streamed live? Because through enough input, maybe I'll stream the attempts. But otherwise, that's all I can say here. But anywho, thank you all so much for watching. Like what you saw, you can click right up there to check out some of my other videos that I've done. Or, if you really feel like it, you can click right up there to subscribe. And if you want as well, I'll leave my link to my Twitter down below. You can also, you know, you can follow me there. I don't post a whole lot, but I'll try my best to keep some sort of updates on there at the very least. So, until next time, guys, I will see you all later.